I really never thought I would say this, but I can't stop playing Injustice 2. Why is it weird that I'm saying this? Well, because I'm not really usually the biggest fighting game fan. Yeah, sure, I played them. I play a lot of them. Virtua Fighter was my shit back in the day. I usually fall back on Soul Calibur. I love these characters. I love these games. I love like the Tekken lore, all this stuff. But I never really actually enjoy playing them. Maybe it's just because I was never really good at them. I never really picked up on a lot of them. And I love the original Injustice, and I never really was very good at that either. But Injustice 2 has got its hooks in me even deeper than I expected, just because of the way it does certain things. I really love it to death, and I find myself still playing it every single day, even though I have a mountain of other games to play. So I think, to me, that's a big deal. Good job on them. First and first, the story. I love that this game has a single player campaign. The original did, Mortal Kombat does. NetherRealm just really nails this whole fighting game single player story experience, which is not really saying too much because the bar isn't that high, but they do such a good job with like coming up with excuses for a linear sequence of fights. Like, even though it's just fighting after fighting after fighting, they still manage to make it feel like it has a reason. They do a good job giving it all a reason and really keeping things moving, and it's well paced, and I think it's pretty great. The story itself isn't exactly perfect. You know, you can poke holes in a lot of things. A lot of maybe your favorite characters feel like they might be reduced to cameos, but I just like what it does without spoiling a lot. The end of the original Injustice ends with Superman basically going a little nuts, going a little crazy, and deciding that basically he has to kill people. It's the only way to really solve problems, and that's justice, and it becomes this whole big thing where he's almost like a dictator taking over the world, but Batman and his friends defeat him, and he's jailed and imprisoned in a prison with a red sun generator basically depowering him, and he's locked up. But the problem is now in Injustice 2, now while the world is trying to put itself back together, there's things afoot with Gorilla Grodd and his band of villains, and it's still kind of like very fractured, and there's more fighting and infighting, but then eventually Brainiac invades, one of Superman, personally, I think one of Superman's best villains, and it's time for everybody to unite, kind of, not in a traditional way where in most comics or a lot of movies, you know, the two teams come together and shake hands and decide they gotta kill the bad guy, but it's very different here, the way it works, just because Superman in this series is such a dick. I like the idea of like giving him you get where he's coming from, sort of like a Civil War thing, but they don't give him that here. Here, he is pretty much bad. He comes off mean, he's nasty, and we've seen plenty of other stories where it's like, oh, what if Superman was bad? But this one just doesn't. I don't know. I mean, like I said, there's still so many plot holes, and it's not long enough, and a lot of characterization is glossed over, but it's just fun, and it's exciting. It's a good what-if DC story, and I love that. What it does with the characters, first of all, it represents most of them incredibly well, not only just because of the writing, but just the voice acting and the portrayal and everything. This is like fan service, the game, but not in an obnoxious way. It manages to shoehorn in everybody's favorite character and little bits of lore here and there, but it doesn't do it in like a really shitty way, you know? My biggest complaint, of course, is that the campaign is way too short. You could beat it in like 5-6 hours maybe. It's paced really fast, and you're gonna feel that, but it's a good incentive to play, especially if it's the first thing you jump into. It's a good way to get acclimated to all the characters, and I love that. It worked for Mortal Kombat, it worked for Injustice, the original, and it works here once again, if not the best it's been. First of all, I mean, shit, dude. Kevin Conroy doing the voice of Batman still, and doing better, I think, even than in Arkham Knight, and just the way all the characters look so realistic. Some of the scenes are so damn good, like way above the level of some other video game stuff out there. I think the first Injustice's story was a little bit stronger, but I'm still pretty damn mostly satisfied with this one. The ending, some people will like it, some people will think it's a little bit of a whimper, but I enjoyed it. But as a fighting game, it's good. It feels very much like the original Injustice, just with a few new added tricks and different ways to use your super meter. I can't really go into details. I'm not like a crazy fighting game hardcore person, but the way Injustice really favors combos is still very much present here. It's simple to do combos, but juggling and getting someone in a string of combos is where the game really rewards you, and it does it well. It can be frustrating if you're on the receiving end of it, but when you're doing it, it feels so good. The game really nails that good feel of stringing combos together in a pretty impressive way, I'm not gonna lie. But I managed to hold my own here and there, and where I especially do hold my own is the metaverse. I love the metaverse here because it's set up something like the tower in the Mortal Kombat games, where you pick a thing and then you get a sequence of players to fight against. And I like that because it's updated daily and weekly with different challenges and new rearrangements of different characters and different movesets and different variables within the game. And I love that because it always keeps me playing, but it really keeps me playing because of the gear system. First of all, you level up your account, and then you also level up individual characters, and then you also unlock and spend points and do all this shit to get gear for the characters. And that, to me, gives it a good sense of progression that keeps me coming back. It incentivizes me to play these freaking challenges in the metaverse to go back and earn a cool new cowl for Batman, or a new bow for Green Arrow, or new gloves for Deadshot, or anything. I find myself constantly playing every day, checking in to play these new metaverse challenges, because not only are they fun, but I'm really just hooked on the gear progression system and getting new shit for my character. I have like the coolest Green Arrow, and I'm so proud of that. Now I love hopping on the couch with like a friend, or turning on the game and being like, yeah, well, check out my Flash. He's way cooler than your Poison Ivy. I was really skeptical of the gear system, especially the fact that it has stats and RPG stats for health and defense and attack and stuff like that. Thankfully, you can turn it off if you're hardcore and you're competitive. Thank God. But I was skeptical, and I like this system a lot. It keeps me playing. It's fun. And ultimately, I'd say I'm pretty damn satisfied. Now, for me to recommend the game to you, I understand, especially for people who aren't super into fighting games, it's probably hard to plunk down full price for a fighting game just to play through a 5-hour story and do some challenges. I get that completely. I can't tell you to go get that. But I would say if you're not too interested in the game, or you're passive about it, think twice, because I was genuinely surprised just how much it really got its hooks in me this time around. You know, I came for the story and the single player thing, but I stayed for that gear progression and all that stuff, you know? Because anything you do in the game, whether it is playing through the story mode again, maybe on a different difficulty, doing the metaverse stuff, playing co-op, or playing online multiplayer, you're always unlocking currency or mother boxes and new things to basically unlock more loot. And there is microtransactions, and they do seem pretty aggressive, but I've been playing now for, when did I first get the game? Like 2 weeks now or so, pretty aggressively, like nonstop, and I haven't spent a dime. However, I'm still not a fan for having to pay for characters and stuff like that, but overall, I am satisfied with Injustice 2 quite a bit. You know, I am totally gushing over it, but I do want to hear from you guys in the comments what you think about the game. And not only that, I want to hear who your favorite characters are. Myself, I was very surprised. Harley Quinn, I can kick a little bit of ass with, and Green Arrow mostly because he was the only character I was good at from the first Injustice, and most of his moves translate over pretty well. And since now I'm unlocking cool gear for different characters, it sucks when you get gear for a character that you're not really into, but it's good because then it incentivizes you to maybe try and play that character. So I've been kind of expanding my horizons. But have you? I want to hear. Let's talk down in the comments. I'll be there. You know the deal. As always, though, I appreciate you coming around and listening to me ramble about video games. You know the deal. I'm Jake Baldino. You can subscribe because video games.